Na ne komo be na yatwe we minority. Last week Friday and I don't come rashe bedwafie yewra John Abdullah Jinapo ono na ye kasama for madam come rashe bedwafie eba no fango ene for magudi fango nsem tituru ne anyinama hoden nsem a ono na ye edom kuma na kasama for na or the bekse say 100 millions of Ghana's oil money unaccounted for. Minority raises alarm. We last week, the last day of October and September, and this has maybe two. Now we read a statement and someone about say the minority in Parliament asked the government to account for over $100 million accrued from Ghana's petroleum lifting in the first quarter of 2022. The minority, in a statement issued on Wednesday, September 28, insisted the revenue from the Jubilee Entaine field to a company was transferred illegally. Almost say abai you see a 2022 the first quarter bosume miensa edin kan January, February, March sika yensa kai fangwa ye 2 ye Ghana eso mfa so dia yenya ye chefa yenya ye every 10 field in Jubilee field no na amounted to $100 million abai mebu hu konta. According to the caucus, the transfer of the said money required parliamentary approval. It said this amounts to a gross violation of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011 Act 815 and Public Financial Management Act 921. Almost zikano baby escano fire and aband ko ebi people sen ka ba na chebe fie na na chebe fie do mo sa sha ase pene so ansa na said abaye no wetia Ghana mra Revenue Act emra ya bo ane na echese fangwa yetu nyina sika yebenya the on first sika ne nyina no aban no abusa amra na nimtia afi so ekwan a aban asuye efa so ebo no ho akohoma ane de odisika ye nso so omususu se ade a womo atia sa emra no. Oto also said the minority also alleged that the finance minister has ceded shares from the 2021 Occidental Oxy transaction in respect of the Jubilee Entaine fields to an offshore company known as JOHL in a very surreptitious and opaque manner. Omoche se omo Ghana sana hene kind of rata sobo se sikano se omo hwehwe omo entumi ehuno aban no edibi akwa dwadie bi a odi ye kan se accidental oxy transaction Jubilee Entaine field honum afi so offshore company bi a eni Ghana ndi di JOHL eno so aban no surreptitious na chese kuntuna se opaque as munna ho and are buying this can. The minority is very much alarmed that the contrary to the requirement of the PRMA, that's Petroleum Revenue Management Act, revenues accruing from the nation's oil fields are not being paid into the Petroleum Holding Fund, that's PHF, which has been confirmed in the 2022 semi-annual report on petroleum receipts by the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC. And so Ediaba. Omoche say saas wo mo kan ade ho adanse ewo Public Interest and Accountability Committee PIAC for report omode aba HSS sika ankwa ankoto foto a yabo se ho na fangu hu sika nyina ye fankotume Petroleum Holding Fund no sika no enya de se etimi kokotum. Now, Otoaso said the minority feels the nation's oil resources cannot be entrusted in their care. This is surely, in quote, this is surely another Ejapa deal in the making. And as we, as a minority, we will not sit aloof for this government to raid the national purse, especially at the time when the nation is struggling to raise much needed revenues for critical expenditure. Omoche said the abaya yi to say Japa fufuro ya Japa we Japanua and abaya etumi aye no mo edom kuma no omo ntena se nyanhwe han e ma aban fa Ghana sika ni enworo medamase e wo mrekwa asa abraga na yehia sika e de abo man ho bra we asema minority in parliament and last week omo statement omo issue e de buy. This statement was issued on the 28th 29th 30th trendy over the weekend trendy and Monday and 3rd and 3rd of October. Still, now the former president. He says John Dramani Mahama ono so ene wakasa ko no social media handles Facebook or posting a dia o mampena John Dramani Mahama so ekani was it news that some $100 million has been diverted from petroleum fund for unapproved expenditure is most disconcerting. Was it sans media he edi ncheche say Ghana sika America sika opepe wa ha ye fan gusika yentimi mu akunta ne yade a entwaye. Section 3 of the PRMA Act 815 is explicit that all petroleum revenue due to the Republic derived from whatever source shall be assessed, collected, and accounted for by the Ghana Revenue Authority. Or say ukwa sa amra no aye de bo se Ghana fangu nyina sika bebi nya fangu tum no a kire ne pefe se sika bia ye benya wo fangu no mu no e wo se de koto futu no ma wo se Ghana Revenue Authority mo majeje to o mo se na wo se sika yi etumi edefa. Or say section 15 of the Petroleum Exploration and Production Act 919 is also clear that any borrowing exceeding the CD equivalent of 30 million United States dollars for the purpose of exploration, development, and production shall be approved by the Parliament and shall be in consonance with the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. And also, watch them so we call a section 15 of the Petroleum Act and also a Act 919. And so I can pay simple busia bi na akobo ku iska bi afrim a scan soon. Ghana sika o de kwa America sika ma ebro $30 million a eno so hihye a de ato on se wo so kom na hye bedwafie na na hye bedwafie do mo sa hye ase ma kwan ya ansan watimi ayi sika no abobosia kura fimu a eson ebro American dollar $30 million Omampena Mahama Smoko say there can be no justification for diverting revenues accruing from the nation's share of petroleum resources into any other account aside the PHF. Was say entremu bia ni wonu ebeto asomu say obetima akwakoyi eye sika eye fango a ya to ana say nyifa so de enya edi koto foto bia mu uyi foto a eye petroleum holding fund eno we de no to ncha foto bia no so de sika no kotum. The Minister for Finance must, as a matter of urgency, repatriate all such illegal payments back into the PHF without delay, as there is no record to confirm parliamentary approval on any such loans acquired by GNPC in their work. Or say animanimu ya Ghana sana hene kinofurata wan hwese be odi sika na kwhye bia no obekwa akoyi sika no e dia betum animanimu ye esan say adanse bia nu ha de adanse chese wo kom na hye bedwafie e ma na hye bedwafo man to me anso no koyi sika no e de akoma Ghana National Petroleum Corporation to we asema omampene da John Dramani Mahama enso e de atuja about $100 million. For the past few months and at the beginning of the year, whenever issue be about and China government now responding, especially with the matter about the economy, and as is Casamon to Tianhua and China by responding. But since last week, 28th, 29th, 30th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 6 days in almost a week. Minister of Finance enka bibia about whatever the minority is alleging and as a minority is saying. The two deputies, Minister for Air Finance, none of them has issued any statement or make any comment. Yera atuampoma aye John Kuma enkasai. Sanso and a deputy minister Obano also enkasai. Yera kenofurata na nkasa so entimi nkasa. There has not been any official statement seeking to clarify or to set the record straight whether indeed it's true or not. Say ampa the government cannot account for $100 million sika was a koto Ghana for 2 more entumi MIA. Omuntimi account for. But ye no su kone yen hwade. Omampena da Mahama ne kasa no oka bibi about sa petroleum fund. Na mepese ye hwe bibi edi ewom se director o de bebekwa akire kakra mepese ye hwe 1 2 3 bi ewom about eniama hudu bi akoso sa petroleum fund no sikana edam no ensembe enewom enche midu ubewuram na eno soso ya hwe ensem potia ewo sa ensem no mu na yetumi ede abro enti 1 2 3 let me just get it down for you na ye hwe de emrane esika because minority made reference to that. So and our Mampeni that John Dramani Mahama also made reference to the act. yenhwe act no assemben na ewum. What does the act say about this okay, this is the act we call Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. This is the act, as you can see on the screen. Mame MBM kese o say Petroleum Revenue Management Act 815 eno mampeni mahama na oka ho asem Act 2011 na o say arrangement of sessions eno ni obahase a akire ni nyina said de dwumadie ne botae titrinti a yedi ebedie na oba ni introduction no a ekire botae a esi eso obaha. Where are you? Come. Okay, here. Or say Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011 and or the ABA. Or say okay. The 815th Act and or that one was of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana entitled Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, an act to provide the framework for the collection, allocation, and management of petroleum revenue in a responsible, transparent, accountable, and sustainable manner for the benefit of the citizens of Ghana, in accordance with Article 36 of the Constitution and for related matters. Enti wachire act no eni ni nyina ne se ene ne mra ya body ato ho se sika bia ye gie enye nya e wo Ghana fango hu bia no de risk ne beye emu kontabuo mapa bekoso perepe ye betumi akoso Frenchim ye ebetumi akoso entini the act asema ekaye. Now they made reference to here, President Mahama made reference to here section 3. Section 3. Now oko the section 3 no this is the eka or say payment. Where are you? Okay, over section 3 now. Was say payment into petroleum holding fund. Payment into petroleum holding fund. Na mimbi mo kakra. Or say 1. Petroleum revenue due the Republic derived from whatever source shall be assessed, collected, and accounted for by Ghana Revenue Authority. Enti sika bia ye nya o fango no mu bia no hu kuntabuo no be sika no ko nyina Ghana Revenue Authority for mo sem no say sika no kono mitim bu hu akonta. The petroleum revenue assessed as due in each month shall be paid by direct transfer into the Petroleum Holding Fund by the 15th day of the ensuing month by the entity obliged to make the payment. Sika bia ebenya no fango sika no mu bia no ti se eye bosumi we ewumi sika ebenya wo se ne yesi bosume foforo no ma ne na otwemi enu so pepepe wo se kotu ese sika no ya de koto eye Petroleum Holding Fund no pepepe ne de akotum wo se where the liability of an entity to make a payment is not discharged on or before the due day, the entity shall pay as a penalty an additional 5% of the original amount for each day of default or the default rate established under any other law, whichever is higher. Enti so na wasa uches can your company also uches can the my utu ya fango di man also uches can wentia. Ebra se ebra no so na wentia de bia no awasa utua oba betia penalty of 5%. Na de atonti akyere ni nyina pepepe etimi e de abetudwa. Oba section 4 ho na payment with petroleum in place of cash and also so akyerem wotoa so na wokọ wanim yenhwe adebi ewa ha. Na when I was going through I saw something very interesting. Then over section 5. Section 5 is as 5 and as I say prohibited use of petroleum holding fund. You can't be prohibited that. Now I say uni hu kwan. Ye twa so hu kra untimi nye prohibited. You are not entitled. You don't have right. Uni hu kwan kra. Say wo dwene hu kra na so tumi ye. 1 or say the amount in the petroleum holding fund mark for transfer into Ghana Petroleum Fund shall not be used. Was this sika? Yes said kokoto Ghana Petroleum Fund no holding fund no. And say yede yes anyama we. Na 1A to provide credit to the government, public enterprises, private sector entity or any other person or entity. And say sika no kra ne se ukoyi bi so de kwa akobo aban ne bosia. Tio Say sika na e de akoto fa go sika mu no. Ani ukra so ko sika so do bo aban bosia. Anase aban dwumakuo bi bosia. Anase ankrankra dwumakuo bi uni hu kwan se wo de bo ne bosia. This time na kan ha we make us naked explicit at the hope fee. B or say entity N as collateral for debt, guarantees, commitment or other liabilities of any other entity. Wontimi mfa nkosi awowa anasa akaginamu enkwaje bosia enkwotuaka anasa nkwaje akaginamu wontimi mfa mponsi awowa. This is what the law says. Or say in order to preserve revenue streams from petroleum and ensure the objective of this act, there shall not be any borrowing against petroleum holding fund. And wontimi nkobo bosia kra mfa mfrimu. Se bia me finance minister anasa me yaba me kobo bosia de free safuto emu na me de akwakoye we ne kina me de ba betum emra ne se wonni ho kwan prohibited. So the finance minister or the finance ministry, and for that matter the government is prohibited because yabo say yasi ho kwan wonni ho kwan sa okọ okra. So uko yibi de akwakosi aworwa uko yibi de akotuaka uko yibi de akobo bosia uko yibi de akaginamu untimi ntu ho anamo. So if that's the case, there is the act. When your time I'm a patch away, we call Google is very simple. They just type Petroleum Management Act 2011. You will get it. You can read it through. But with all this, the minority has raised issue. Since last week, 6 days now, the government is yet to issue any statement whether to admit or to deny. Say indeed that $100 million in her, because I'm not kind of pay say simple base kind of free mu de kwa koye bibia says kind of bro America sika 30 million I was so called parliament now koji approval, but in this case we didn't see anything like that. Enti enho asem I don't know enti ehwe animu say ye raka no frata wona wodom ebia mugu so a penise obakọ adwaye na ocha na ya hoboabo na ogu so enti ehwe anim say bia very soon, and as within a week more the statement but we dey check 6 days in no response at the Ghana for we deserve to know.